So my name is Shari Woods, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. And I work for the state of Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And I also have a private practice where I specialize in trauma and just an array of different disorders and symptoms and things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining again. I do want to go over the topic that we're going to be discussing today, which is doom scrolling. So it's basically when people spend a large amount of time on their device scrolling through bad news, or in other words, depressing news. So I was going to ask if you know if there's any long-term effects this might have on someone. Time after time reading negative news, I mean, it has to have some type of impact on you.
Right. I mean, I think social media is becoming like any other addiction.
Right.
I mean, it's a distorted sense of reality. And people tend to be more acquainted with personal, like facades, stuff that's not really real. And I think that it's a distraction, away from your own emotions and dealing with your own emotions. And I think that, it numbs you to some degree. And the more time you spend on it, I think the more impact it has on your life. Because the less you are really kind of internalizing and going in, you're more externalizing, comparing yourself to other people. That can really interfere with your self-esteem, that can really interfere with your reality testing. And I think in terms of like the bad news, although it's horrible and I think that it does impact people negatively, I think that it is entertaining. You know what I mean? Just it's a form of entertainment. And I think that people have real raw emotions and people can relate and they can connect to it. And I think that's what draws them, going more and more towards it, because there is this connection. There is this human side to social media, because back in the day, it was more like, celebrities or people that had a platform that we would see across our screens or on TV or anywhere. But now anyone and everyone, has the ability to do that. So it's, it's good and bad, but everything in moderation. Everything has to be balanced.
Right. So what do you think, how might that impact someone mentally? Do you think it can become severe? It can become so serious that they actually might need help, or?
Absolutely. I think that it really is a catalyst for severe depression and anxiety. I think, sometimes, I mean, like I said, it could be good or bad. But I do think that it's a source of validation that is not realistic. People really are dependent on the likes, and, they're trying to reach this level of perfection that doesn't exist. And there's all these filters and all these different ways to kind of give the world what you want them to see. But in reality, you have someone in their little corner of the world struggling, but they don't really have the ability to kind of put that out there and be raw and authentic. They really want to be what what's going to draw them likes, what's going to draw them attention. So then you kind of leave yourself. And then, then we go with the insecurities, then we go with self-esteem, then we go with anxiety and depression. Do I really measure up? I really don't have what they have. It's just, it can be really extreme, and it can be really bad, but I don't think that there's a real diagnosis for it right now. I think there's some research that's being done. Even with myself, I've worked with a psychologist where we did some, social media research with young adults between 18 and 25, and they were spending at least 8 hours a day on social media. It is that significant. If they rather lose, anything other than their phone, because that's like their lifeline. You know what I mean? It's become like their heartbeat. It's a dependency. And it's definitely can lead to severe anxiety and depression at the least, depending on what you already have underlining.
Do you think that there is some sort of healthier way to view hard news, or a healthier way maybe to limit yourself every day by how many articles you read? Is there some type of, strategy people could look forward to so they don't, to prevent themselves from falling into that depression, having anxiety?
I think that scrolling social media has become very subconscious. It's become like, getting up in a daze from waking up and going to brush your teeth and putting on your pants. And I mean, it has literally become an unconscious cycle. It is habitual. It is something that we don't even realize that we're doing. If you just pick up your phone, it's very subconscious, like, oh, and so you really don't even understand the impact of the things that are going in your mind, the stuff that you are like storing in your subconscious. And so when you find yourself having insomnia at night and you can't sleep, you have to understand that there's like a Rolodex of those articles, of that bad news, of all of those things streaming through your brain. Although you're not aware of it, your body is. You know, your body, your physiological self keeps a score of the trauma that you let kind of, you know, come into your mind. And so you know, I think that it's about being mindful, it's about being aware. I think it's about balance. And you know, some people have to get to the point where they say between this hour and this hour I'll get on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. You know, that's what I'm going to do. And at 10 o'clock, I'm going to put my phone away. I'm going to put it on silent. You know, if it's you know, and really kind of, you know, have that discipline, just like with bad food or when you're on a diet, with your exercise. I mean, that's exactly the same thing. It's another thing that you have to monitor, be aware of, and have a balance, and seriously, moderation. It has to be. It can't just be something that's habitual. You just have it in your hand, you just pick it up. You have to be mindful. Oh my God, here I go again. Here I
Right.
go again. Here I go again. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for joining.